With its complex mixture of flavors and textures, some would say chocolate makes everything better. And I couldn't agree more, being a chocoholic myself. And these days, it's easier than ever to find quality chocolate, whether you like dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or even white chocolate. Today, I'll share 3 desserts you're going to love. Some mousses, chocolate and peanut butter tart, and triple chocolate ice cream cake. In addition, Jacques Torres is here to share his technique for creating a chocolate dessert that's sure to surprise and delight. All today on Martha Bakes. Today I've decided to transform the nostalgic combination of chocolate, marshmallow, and graham cracker from Campfire Classic to an elegant dessert that we're calling some mousses. That's a play on words for what we're going to create. So first, the base, which is the crust. And it's take one package, 1/3 of a box of graham crackers, break them up a little bit into a food processor. And in here, add 1/3 of a cup of sugar and 1/4 of a cup of all-purpose flour. Don't forget the salt, 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, because we're using unsalted butter and salt brings out the delicious flavors. Grind this up a little bit, pulse a little bit, it gets them ground up well. Okay, and then add your butter. 6 tablespoons of chilled butter cut into like 1/4-inch pieces. And again, do the pulsing thing. You just want crumbly. That looks good. And then this can be put on a baking sheet lined with parchment. Make sure your oven's preheated to 350 degrees. Just spread it around. Put that in the oven, 10 minutes. In a small bowl, we're going to melt 3 ounces of milk chocolate. We're just creating a little double boiler here. If you have a double boiler, of course you can use it. The steam from the boiling water will heat the bowl and melt the chocolate. So our crumb mixture has been in the oven for 10 minutes. Just break it up a little bit to make sure that it really is drying out. And let it stay in for another 10 minutes or so. So our crumb mixture is done. We're going to put it in a bowl so we can mix the crumbs with the chocolate. We're making a mixture kind of like granola. And then pour the chocolate right into the crumbs. So you're going to have sort of a chocolatey graham cracker crust. And this is now going to be put into the bottom of each of the molds. And you can use a 1/4 cup ice cream scoop to measure out. And this makes 8 mousses. These are 3-inch rings. And to make sure that this really does become a crust, use a jar that fits inside and press. Transfer these to a refrigerator until they're nice and set. So in another heat-proof bowl, melt 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate and 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter, and just get that nice and melted. We have some egg whites that I'm beating up into a froth, 4 egg whites, and just a little pinch of salt. The chocolate mixture, after we add 4 egg yolks and some gelatin, will be folded into the egg whites. And we also have 1/2 cup of heavy cream, lightly beaten. Our chocolate is beautifully melted. You can stir the softened gelatin right into the chocolate. 1 teaspoon of gelatin that's been softened with 1 tablespoon of cool water. Seems to be good. And then we're going to add the egg yolks. Whisk the egg yolks right into the chocolate. And now we can add our egg whites. Lightly mix the chocolate mixture a little bit with a little bit of the egg whites. And you can now get your crusts out of the refrigerator, because we're going to put this mousse right into the molds on top of the crusts. Last thing to fold in is the softly whipped cream. The cream just adds another element of richness and taste to the mousse itself. And maybe if you weren't watching, I'd lick the spatula. So each mold will take about 6 tablespoons. Now these have to go right into the refrigerator and chill until set. That's going to take at least 2 hours. So we're making a Swiss meringue topping for our mousses. And Swiss meringue requires you to heat the egg whites with the sugar until you cannot feel any grains of sugar in the mixture. Beat these to a beautiful frothy cloud. You can add a teaspoon of vanilla. This is 3 egg whites, 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And we will also add 1 teaspoon of cornstarch after peaks form. To have better control over the meringue, I'm going to put the meringue into a piping bag fitted with a 1/2-inch round tip. Now it's gotten nice and thick. I'm just going to add the cornstarch, give it a little bit more body. I think we have the meringue we want. We don't want any air pockets visible when we remove the rings because we want this to be sort of a stacked dessert. So now with your offset spatula, just level off the meringue. Chill for at least an hour. So now we're at the point of unmolding our mousses. It's a simple way to do this. Have an overturned jar or glass that is smaller than the ring, and very gently just push like that to pull off the ring. So cute. Just before serving, using a kitchen torch, brown the tops of the meringues and serve immediately. These are guaranteed to please a crowd, for young and old alike, at your next party. With its chocolate wafer crust, decadent peanut butter filling, and swirled chocolate ganache topping, this peanut butter tart comes pretty close to dessert perfection. For the crust, 8 ounces of store-bought chocolate wafers. Break them up before you put them in the food processor, just a little bit. I didn't count the number of wafers. Small amount, just 1/4 cup of sugar. And a pinch of coarse salt. So grind these up a little bit. Process them until they're pulverized. And then add 6 tablespoons of butter melted and cooled. And that's the crust. Pretty easy. And we're using a 10-inch fluted tart pan with a removable bottom. There. It's nice to have the removable bottom because then you can lift your tart out for serving. Dump the whole thing right into the tart shell and spread it evenly and make sure you get the crust up the sides of the pan. It's so dark and extremely tasty. So see what I'm doing? I'm using the bottom of my measuring cup and I'm pushing all the way around so that I get a nice edge all the way around. Now your oven should be preheated to 350 degrees. We're going to bake this crust empty. You can call that blind baking. There. Ready to put in the oven. Bake until the crust is fragrant, about 15 minutes, and then let it cool completely on a wire rack. Now we have 2 layers to make. We make the peanut butter layer, which is the filling, and then the topping is a chocolate ganache. So I have 1.5 cups of heavy cream heating and 10 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate. Add 1 tablespoon of butter to the chocolate. This helps keep the ganache a little bit softer. And here is the peanut butter filling started. We have 6 tablespoons of butter melting. Add to that 3/4 cup of your favorite peanut butter. So that melts together. 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. Very tasty. A pinch of salt. And 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. We just want everything to combine. Do not overheat. So we're going to pour the peanut butter over 1 1/4 cups of sifted confectioner's sugar. This will be a dense, peanutty filling. Stir that all together. Put a nice, smooth peanut butter filling. And now our cream has come to a boil. Pour that right over the little chocolate pieces. That's how you make a ganache. And let that just sit and melt. That will be our topping. So now the peanut butter filling goes right into the baked chocolate wafer crust. And just spread the peanut butter with an offset spatula. Gently place a piece of plastic wrap on the surface of the peanut butter filling and cool to room temperature. That's going to take about 30 minutes. Our ganache, it's happening. All the chocolate is melted. All of a sudden, all the cream's absorbed and you'll have a uniform dark chocolate topping. Just let this stay right here in the bowl, stirring it occasionally while the peanut butter filling in the tart cools. This cools, and this will start to thicken a little bit. So now our peanut butter filled chocolate cookie crust has set for 30 minutes, and the ganache gets poured right on top of the tart. Start in the center and let it spread out to create a spiral pattern on top of the tart. Find the center and do this all in one movement. Takes a steady hand and a practiced eye. Voila! It looks so perfect. Let it sit for at least another hour. Serve at room temperature with whipped cream, peanut brittle. With a combo like chocolate and peanut butter, you can't go wrong. Enjoy. Dark, rich cake, white chocolate ganache, and luscious chocolate ice cream. My uniquely constructed triple chocolate ice cream cake. We start with the dry ingredients. 3/4 of a cup of Dutch process cocoa, 1½ teaspoons of baking soda, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1½ cups of all-purpose flour, and 1½ cups of sugar. So you can mix this up with your beater. And now the liquid ingredients. 3 tablespoons of safflower oil, 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk, 2 eggs, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And have on hand 3/4 of a cup of warm water. It looks a little curdled, but that's okay. That's the eggs and the buttermilk. And you can see that it is pretty dense, so we're going to add that water right now. Now your pan should be buttered, cocoaed, lined with parchment, buttered again, and more cocoa. This is also buttered, lined with parchment, buttered, and cocoaed. We need a cup of batter for the base. Your oven should be preheated to 350 degrees. And then the rest of the batter gets poured right into the big sheet pan. We're using a jelly roll pan, 10½ inches by 15½ inches. We want a very thin layer of chocolate cake because we're going to do something very special with it. There. So right into the oven until set and a toothpick comes out clean, about 12 to 14 minutes for both the round and the rectangular. So the cakes have cooled. Look how nice they look. And now for the filling, white chocolate ganache. So we have 1 cup of heavy cream that is boiling hot, 12 ounces of white chocolate, cut into small pieces for easy, quick melting. Once the chocolate melts, let it cool for about an hour. Just sit until it's a spreadable consistency. And so now we're going to spread the ganache on top of our rectangle. Cut the cake into 4 even quarters. And you stack these one on top of the other. Lift this onto a piece of plastic wrap and chill it for 30 minutes. Here is your chilled cake. We want to cut this in half and then into 1-inch pieces. In a 10-inch springform pan, this has a removable bottom, lined with a round of parchment. Place your smaller round cake. And then pick up your slices, and these stand right up all the way around. So when you slice this, you're going to have stripes. Now we planned for most of the cake to be used. I have a piece left over. Enjoy it. Now get this right into the refrigerator, and then we'll fill the interior. So now fill the interior of this pan with 2 quarts of your favorite chocolate ice cream. And I've brought it to a slightly warmer temperature than freezing because it has to be pressed in with no air spaces. So you can imagine when you slice this cake, you're going to get a really pretty edge. It is delicious, and it is better than any store-bought ice cream cake. So now get this wrapped quickly and put it right back in the freezer at least overnight. This is our beautiful striped cake. And fill the center with lightly whipped, lightly sweetened cream. This is about 3 cups. If you want to get fancy, you could pipe the cream, but all you have to do is take a slice and enjoy. If you're up for it, you can make some milk chocolate curls and sprinkle those on top. Wow, what an ice cream cake. When it comes to creating chocolate desserts worthy of social media, there's no one better to show us how it's done than Master Chocolatier Jacques Torres. It's very nice to have you back on our show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
You began your career when you were 15 years old. Tell us a little bit about it.
It's been a while ago. I was in Bandol, and my brother is a chef. I want to be a chef, but there was no good restaurant in Bandol where I can do my apprenticeship. So he advised me, he said, try pastry. And the first day that I put my hands on chocolates and buttercream and all those things, I fall in love with it. And it's
nice.
over 40 years ago.
Wow, and you're now the master. The creations that you make are coveted by anybody who's interested in chocolate. So you're going to make something very extraordinary for us today. You're going to make a chocolate flower that just opens magically.
Magically. The idea is that, you go buy some cupcakes or some brownies or something relatively common, and you want to just make it more beautiful.
These are my cupcakes, and they are not common.
They are not. Those you don't need to do anything to them. But, sometimes you buy those cupcakes and it's just a swirl of buttercream on top and it doesn't look very good, and you want to do something to it. So I want to show you some techniques actually to just make them better.
I can't wait to see.
So the first things that we do, we're going to create a gutter with a piece of acetate paper. Okay. So now that we have this piece ready, I put some little piece of acetate paper.
Yeah, hard to see, but
they're hard to see.
But they're cut in a leaf shape, just the petal.
Just the petal. So I'm going to take some chocolate, put it on top of the petal, and then with the little spatula, we're going to just spread the chocolates over. So I can do all of them. One. And I put some film on top of your marble.
Yeah, so this is a piece of plastic wrap, which makes cleanup fabulous, and you can save the chocolate,
and
right?
you can save the chocolates, yes.
So how smooth?
Oh, you just, with the flat of the spatula, just pass, and that's it. So relatively easily.
And this is tempered chocolate?
This is tempered chocolate. So what we do, we look for the acetate with a knife. We take it with the tip of the finger, and we put that into the gutter here. So let me move that to you. Very simple.
Oh, this is so easy.
So my advice here is don't do that the day of your party. Do that in advance because they will stay quite a bit. Basically, we put that in the fridge for a few minutes. It's going to take less than 10 minutes. Okay, then you can store it.
And they peel right off, right?
And they will peel right off. Okay. So we have a plate here with whatever you want to decorate, a beautiful cupcake here. Then we use the same tempered chocolates. We're going to glue them like that. So I have a cake ring here. Okay,
and you see them.
They're just going to hold like that. That's all it is.
So dip this in?
Yes, dip the tip. Perfect. Now I'm going to put one completely on the opposite side. And then we put two on each side.
Because you have it figured out.
And we are done.
Wow. See, magic
So this is a cold spray. You don't have to use that. If you
Yeah.
have a cold plate and if it's not too hot in your kitchen, you don't have to use
But
that.
under these lights of TV, it is
Yeah,
very
so I prefer to
warm
use the cold
here.
spray. So basically,
Oh, I
you
can
remove.
hear it. I can hear it bubble.
Yes, it's just setting up, and voila. So that's the way that.
Voila.
So when we serve the guest, you put the chocolate sauce around the dessert, and you just pray that the chocolates melt. So let's wait now. And voila. Oh my God, it worked! I was so scared.
Incroyable, as they say in France.
Okay.
Oh, it's so beautiful. And there you have your lovely chocolate brownie cupcake, completely
And the open flower.
That is spectacular. So, Jacques, you have one more surprise for us?
Yes, one more.
Okay. How to make a very cute little clown hat.
So again, acetate paper. This is a 90-degree angle. I'm going to put my left hand pretty much on the middle here, and I'm going to create a cone this way. So you can do the cone pretty much as wide as you want. Then with your finger, you keep it closed with your 3 finger like that, and then you roll it.
Okay, like this. Okay.
Yes, it takes a little bit of practice, but eventually.
Yes. It's just like making a pastry bag.
The same thing. Same thing. So we put a little tape to keep it closed. Put a tape on the outside, and I put a tape on the inside. Okay. And then with the scissors, we can cut it straight.
Oh, okay.
And then we have it. There we go. So then the next step is to take some chocolates, and we put the chocolates inside the cone. And as soon as the chocolate is all the way
you can
down,
really make any shape you want.
yes, with this material. And the great thing about this material is that it will be very shiny. It doesn't stick much. It's a great material to work with chocolates. Okay, so when we are done with that, chocolate is everywhere. You just return it into a tray with a cooling rack. So now the chocolate is going to slowly drizzle. I have on your left some cones already done and cold already, if you want to grab them. So
Here.
those are ready here. So
Let's move this.
what we do, with a knife, we find where the tape is. We remove the tape and slowly open the cones.
And so just unroll.
Yes, we just unroll, and eventually the cones come out.
Oh, look how cute. So beautiful.
What I did on the finished one here, I stick some color candy on the side, and we put it over a cupcake or
how
you know,
lovely.
whatever you want to put over.
Okay.
So this one might not melt as easily because I put 2 coats of chocolate. Let me see. But in any case, it's going to be delicious.
And where do you pour it?
Over.
Oh, really?
I want it to melt.
You're a destroyer.
I melt chocolate. This is my life. I melt chocolates all day. This is what I do. So as you see, it's melting away.
Destruction before your eyes. Oh, how sad.
And then you have a chocolate sauce with white chocolates, and on the bottom you will find the cupcake.
I like doing that. And then eating
And you can do it like that too. Either way, this way it's maybe a little bit less messy.
Well, all of these are welcome treats for any occasion. And thank you very much for being here.
Still melting. Thank you, Martha. Thank you for
Thank
inviting
you.
me. Always happy
And
to be here.
thank you for watching. I hope you'll join me for the next episode of Martha Bakes. You never know what's going to happen. Using violet frosting and a petal tip, create a fan-shaped petal. Pipe a second petal slightly overlapping the first. Using the same technique, pipe 2 smaller petals, one on top of each of the first ones. Now using lavender frosting and a pivoting motion, pipe a ruffle for the flower's base. For the finishing touch, pipe a yellow circle in the center of the blossom with a fine, round tip.